Okay, we're switching gears to retail, and I've made a rather strong statement, which I probably can't back up, but it gets us thinking about things. My comment is everyone thinks they know what's happening in the retail sector, and almost all of them are wrong. And our next speaker is Scott Crowe from Center Square, and Center Square is expert in a lot of things, but included in that is retail. And Scott's going to give us the insider view of what's really happening in the retail sector and how we need to change our thinking about retail in the context of a post-COVID world. Scott, the floor is yours. Or I should say the screen is yours.
The screen, thank you. Thank you, Brad. And hello, everybody. Scott Crowe, Chief Investment Strategist at Center Square. We're a $14 billion assets under management investment manager based out of Philadelphia, but with offices all over the world, including New York, London, Los Angeles, and Singapore. And one of the things that we do is invest in private real estate, and particularly in the retail space, but in a very niche part of the retail sector that we believe is actually a beneficiary of a number of the changes that are happening at the consumer level. So let's talk about what the post-COVID future of retail real estate is going to look like, in our opinion. And to really understand real estate today, you have to understand in our opinion, the changing demand patterns that have evolved over the last 10 to 15 years that have been driven by demographics, preferences, and technology. And these demand patterns have changed very rapidly, perhaps more rapidly than in any time in history. As a consequence, the way that we use and hence value real estate has also changed very dramatically. If you go back 15 years ago, the mall was considered at the top of the food chain as it relates to real estate, and lowly industrial warehouse distribution, something at the bottom. And that's completely flipped around due to changing demand patterns and the way that we need to solve the challenge of how we meet these demand patterns as landlords. So stepping back a little bit, you can see on the left-hand chart here on my slide that consumers are, they're spending, one of the big trends that I think is less known is what consumers spend their money on. Okay, we all know about e-commerce and Amazon and e-tailing, but there's been a bigger macro mega trend that's been happening now for some time, and that is the percentage of our wallet share that goes to services versus goods has been really bifurcating for now a couple of decades. In other words, we spend more money on a cup of coffee, okay, from Starbucks here in the US, versus a pair of shoes than we did 10, 20 years ago. And that really is just a reflection of affluence and economic development. So number one, it's important to understand where the money's going. Number two, what does that mean for the kinds of real estate that are going to, or retail that are going to do well and are going to see expanding underlying tenant demand and concepts? And the answer's down here. It's on services, okay? The main services include health and beauty, food and beverage, business services, which includes like a FedEx, and a fitness center, right? So, food and beverage is fast casual dining. It's your coffee shop. Beauty is your hair salon and massage parlor. Business and also can be dental. And then fitness includes a gym, but also a lot of the boutique type of fitness concepts that have popped up all over the world. And you can just think of your own experience and seeing that, take coffee shops, for instance. The number of coffee shops and the number of different concepts continues to expand. Whereas on the left-hand side of the chart on the right, if you think about the concepts around apparel, okay, they continue to shrink. And why is that? Well, because you can see that e-commerce penetration, which is the dark blue line here, is already pretty high for a number of these categories and is expected to continue to increase pretty dramatically. In fact, if we look at electronics as a bellwether of just how far e-commerce penetration can go, because it's one of the more saturated areas, it's going to be as high as 60, 70% before it peaks out. So moving to the next slide. Yep, move to the next slide. So you can see, the upshot of this here is that as we moved, over the last 10 years, we've had this huge growth in e-commerce penetration as a percentage of sales. Amazon